Okay, good afternoon, everybody. And I'm Michael Bellicosa, Community Engagement Manager at the Wilton Library. And welcome to today's program. Looks like technology is cooperating this time, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that everything just goes nice and smooth. Remember, we've got the program at lynda.com next Tuesday. And what was supposed to be Job Now last week, where we had the technical problem, was rescheduled to next Thursday, July 2. Also at noon. So if you were there last week, please, you're already signed up for next Thursday, and we'll be sending out the notice and the link to those at the usual times. I want to turn this over to TJ, who's going to show us about ReferenceUSA and job searching. Please feel free to use the chat to send me and TJ questions as you go along. Otherwise, I'll relay those questions or we'll take them up at the end of the program. If we do end up with a relatively small group, we can allow you guys to unmute and ask those questions yourselves at the end. But for the duration of the program, to keep the distraction level down, please just keep everything muted with the cameras off. So turn it over to TJ.
Before I get too far, Michael, can you see my screen okay? Just want to make sure everyone can.
You've got the library website right up?
Super.
Yep, that's what I got.
All right, thanks, Michael.
Yep.
So I'd just like to thank Michael and the Wilton Library for hosting programs such as these. Usually I travel quite a bit, so I'm usually physically present in the state of Connecticut giving these programs. Obviously, with everything going on, we're now moving virtual, which I've honestly almost seen just as much, if not more, success during these virtual programs. So it's a blessing that we can still do stuff like this. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about our resource, ReferenceUSA, and how you can utilize it to leverage your job search, whether that be transitioning careers, finding a new job. Maybe you were one of the unfortunate ones who was laid off due to COVID-19, and now you're just looking to get back in the marketplace at the moment. So we'll talk about how a resource can benefit you in that regard, but let's start from step one. So ReferenceUSA is an online database that the Wilton Library subscribes to. If you are a patron of Wilton Library, then you can get free access to our resource, whether you're home or work or if you're physically somewhere else, it doesn't really matter. What you'll need to do is go to the Wilton Library website first. So that's wiltonlibrary.org, which you should be able to see on my screen currently. And then you'll find our database under the Research tab, under Online Resources. And then simply scroll down, and then we're under Business Information. And then you'll see ReferenceUSA listed here. So once you click on it, it's going to take you to our Terms and Conditions page. You'll agree to that, and then it'll ask you to put in your library card number, and you'll have full access to our database at that point. So it's going to take you to this screen. So this is the ReferenceUSA homepage. A little bit about myself. So my name is TJ Pridell. I'm the ReferenceUSA account manager for our New England libraries. I've been doing this for a little bit more than 5 years. And prior to this, I actually did use ReferenceUSA in my own job search. Ironically, I ended up working directly for ReferenceUSA, but I'll talk a little bit about how I use the database personally to find a job. And then if you see any correlation to your own job search, obviously you can emulate any methods that I use. And then some of the other ways that we'll talk about today. So ReferenceUSA is owned by a parent company called Infogroup. We are based out of Omaha, Nebraska, which is where I'm presenting to you today in my dining room, which is my new office. We started up in 1972 as a phone book compiler. So the guy who started the company just collected phone books. He wasn't a crazy person. He did have a good use for that. So he would distribute names, addresses, and phone numbers to businesses that needed sales leads. So since then, we've expanded quite a bit. Now, we still do collect the phone books. We've got the most boring library in the United States. We've got the white pages, yellow pages, government blue pages. We'll get 4,400 phone books. We'll do data entry on names, addresses, and phone numbers. And then we'll expand to public sourcing. So if a brand new business starts up, we collect their Secretary of State filing. We get Better Business Bureau listings, utility connects and disconnects. Business gets heating, electricity, trash, sewage, plumbing, All of that is public information. So through that info, we're able to know what the business owner's name is, what industry they associate with, where they're geographically located, how many people they employ, what they're making in sales, hours of operation, etc. And then all of those data points become searchable to you, so you can use it for your own unique needs. So whether that be a job search method, you've got industry experience in manufacturing, so you're just interested in finding all the local manufacturers in the Fairfield County area, employing more than 10 people with a website available. It's really whatever you want to make it. So the point of this database is for job growth and development, economic development, for small business owners to grow their business, entrepreneurship benefits, and student benefits as well for research purposes. So we've got information on every business and every consumer in the United States and Canada. What you do with it is up to you, but there's a lot of unique ways that you can use the information for your benefit, and we'll talk about that today. So up here at the top, if English is your second language, it's easier to translate it into your own language. That's your primary language that you speak. We do have a translator up here, simple Google translator, but it translates ReferenceUSA into one of these 10 languages. So do keep that in mind. I really don't expect you guys to retain everything that I'm going to be talking about today. So if after this presentation you want to get a refresher on ReferenceUSA, keep in mind we do these types of webinars all the time. So visit our Learning Center. We do webinars every Tuesday and Thursday. One of them is an entrepreneurship course, how you can start, manage, and grow your business from a marketing standpoint. And then every Thursday we do a job seeker course. If you want to redo this, keep in mind that we do have those available on a weekly basis. If you're a little bit more introverted like myself, we do have archived videos. You can certainly view the videos. You don't have to speak with one of our trainers. And then we do have training guides, which are just slide shares. If you were one of the COVID-19 impacted individuals and you were laid off, we've got a specific COVID-19 resource tab that you can take advantage of. It's got our specialty healthcare information in there and how to find a job using the database. So some of the same stuff we're going to be talking about today. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see our 1-800 line and our email address that's available to you. If you call this phone number, it's going to route directly to me or one of the other 20 account managers in our department. So we're not just we're not just account managers, we're also customer service representatives as well. So if you do have any questions, feel free to call anytime. If you like me, you can certainly ask for me directly, and I'm happy to speak with you more about your job search that's ongoing. So you'll see 10 available modules to you. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about US Jobs and Internships and US Business module. There are two ways you can kind of go about your job search. One is a very simplistic way, which is opening our jobs module and seeing who's currently hiring. There's linkage back to our US Business database so that you can research companies before you go in for that vital interview. And then the more advanced way to do it would be using the US Business module and producing a list of companies that might be in line with your industry of expertise. Whether that's at that point picking up the phone and calling the owners of each of these businesses to see if they're hiring, or producing a list of websites that you can go on their web page and find their career portal to apply for jobs is one way to do it as well. If you have sales and marketing expertise like myself, you might use it in a little bit of a different manner to just kind of showcase your ability to do vital research on a company's behalf, bring that info into your interview. So let's start with US Jobs and Internships. Now, every job posting that's in this module is going to be hosted by Indeed.com. So do keep that in mind when you're going about your job search. Every job that we're going to post as available is through Indeed. My advice to you, just generally speaking, is to find as many job websites as you can. So like not every posting on Indeed is going to be all the jobs available in the marketplace. So, look through LinkedIn, Career Builder, Monster, the Area Help Wanted website. And a lot of those larger companies won't even post on those job postings. So I always encourage people, for larger companies, go directly to their website, and see what jobs they have available through their career portal. Now we have a portal, we have a partnership with Indeed because they're an aggregator. So if there's any postings on separate, like the Area Help One website, Monster, Career Builder, it's all supposed to pool into Indeed like so an aggregator such as like Google would. There's two ways that you can do this. There's a quick search tab and an advanced search tab. So quick search, you're simply typing in the name of the profession that you're interested in getting into, and then work. So easy as that, view results, and then you're going to see a simple listing of what jobs are currently available associated with nursing around the Wilton area. That's an easy way to do it. I never use a quick search, personally speaking. I always use advanced search because you can search for the exact phrase of nursing, and I'll talk about the differences there. On the left-hand side, these are all the job titles that are currently being hiring for. So if you actually click on the listing itself, it's going to take you to Indeed.com. So I encourage you to view Indeed, get your profile filled out in full, upload your resume, and then if you're ever applying for jobs on the Indeed portal, there's an easy way to do it if you've already got that information filled out. If you click on the company name, it's going to take you to our US Business module, which will show you everything that we know about that individual business. So it's going to share all the information that you might need during your interview process, that you can ask key questions to show that company that you've done your research to kind of get yourself a leg up in the interview process. Okay. If you want, you could quickly produce a list of job listings, check mark the ones that might interest you, and then email it directly to yourself. And then you can follow up at a later date and then apply for those jobs as you go along. Okay, now I'm going to go do a new search and show you the advanced search tab. And this is how I personally like to do it. So like we had looked for nursing in Wilton. The Indeed search portal is going to show you anything with the word nursing, either in the job title or in the job title description. And sometimes I can kind of muddy your results. So if you want something really refined, you'll do the exact phrase of nursing. And then you can kind of choose the location radius. So if you're only looking within a 10-mile radius of Wilton. And then what I find really important is the age of the publishing. So a lot of these Indeed postings, or doesn't really matter which job publishing website you're on, will be super old. You'll see like job postings that are 180 days old. And, I start to speculate, why are those postings as old as they are? Does that job have a high turnover rate? Do they constantly need to hire for it? Is it really not a desirable position? Or did they completely forget that they even have that posting on Indeed and they've already hired for it and they're no longer hiring for it at that point? So what I like to do is designate a shorter time frame of that publishing. So jobs that were published, and I wouldn't go anything really past 15 days. But really, just keep that in mind. So I do 15 days or less. You can input a salary estimate. Just keep in mind that there's a minimal amount of postings that actually post the salary and have that salary transparency. So you will limit your results. So if you want to make sure that the position is going to be paying a certain amount, you can start there and then delete that to expand or broaden your job results. Now, if you were one of those people who are unfortunately laid off due to COVID-19, and right now maybe you're just looking for a part-time opportunity or a contract opportunity, pay the bills for now and then transition back to your full-time career at a later time, you can search for all part-time opportunities, temporary positions, or contract work. So let's just look for nursing in a 10-mile radius of Wilton, published within the last 15 days, and view results. Okay. So you see, this is a smaller batch of positions. It's within a closer geographic area. The job titles should be more specifically catered to the word nursing. So I think it's a cleaner list of results. And then same process as before, click on any of these job titles, take you to Indeed, and apply for the position at the Indeed portal. Okay, I'm going to click on New Search and show you one last thing in the Jobs module. If we scroll down, we have additional job resources available to you. So if you know, like, you've got a decent resume, but maybe you want to improve upon it, we do have a resume writing help, third-party link here under General Job Help. We've got interview tips, aptitude testing, salary estimates based on the job title and geographic location of that job. So all of these are free resources provided to you, non-affiliated with ReferenceUSA, but third-party resources that we find useful. So keep these in mind. You can click on any of these links, and you don't have to pay for any of these. So write a better resume, do better interviewing, you know, techniques to kind of give you a leg up. If you need additional training opportunities specifically within the jobs module, we've got videos and self-serve content to assist you with the you know, walkthrough process of US jobs down here at the bottom. Okay, so there's really not much more I can say about the US Jobs and Internships module past that. It's a fairly simplistic module. We kept it as simple as we could. So it should be fairly easy for you to use. I'm going to move on to the US Business module, but I just want to remind everyone that if you do have questions, feel free to ask as we go along. Everybody is currently muted, so I can't hear you, but if you do have a question, just type it into the chat box, and I'm happy to address it as we continue. All right, so moving on to the business database, you're going to see two search functions, same as in US Jobs, quick search and advanced search. Quick search, if you wanted to research an individual company before you go in for that interview, this is what you would use. So learn a little bit more about that company, write down, take note of everything that is currently going on with that company before you interview, use that as talking points. Advanced search, you're going to be building a market relevant to your interests. So if you've got experience in beauty salons, you know, you can produce a list of results that are all beauty salons in the local area, and then, you know, produce a list of all of their websites that you can apply on, get a list of their phone numbers and the names of the owners so that you can ask for them directly and see if they're hiring. So let's start with quick search. I'm going to look up, just as a general example, the record for Stanley Black & Decker in Connecticut, and then view results. So basic information you're going to see is the name of the company, CEO or owner, where they're located, and their contact info. On the right-hand side, you're going to see that corporate tree icon, and then on the second record, we see this down arrow. So what that means is that that's the corporate site, and they own entities underneath them. If there was an up arrow, that would be stating vice versa. They're a branch, and they're owned by somebody else. So simplistically, if you were just curious, you know, where is the corporate office for this company? Where's the corporate office for Best Buy, for Barnes & Noble? Simply type in the name of the company. If you click on the corporate tree icon, it'll show you the hierarchy of who owns who. So if you wanted to work at a corporate office, if you've got corporate experience, simply find out which corporate locations are near you. Now we're going to click on this, and we're going to see who owns who within the Stanley Black & Decker umbrella. So what this is going to share is that Stanley Black & Decker is a publicly traded company. They're a hardware manufacturer out of New Britain, Connecticut. There's how many people they employ nationwide and what they're making in sales revenue across the board. Everything underneath this are going to be all their branch locations, subsidiaries across the United States. So this is a large publicly traded company. Their information is very easy for us to collect. Just know that we also collect small private company information too, all the way down to that, you know, small mom and pop shop like Dave's Donuts, employs less than 5 people, you know, down the street, whatever. Once I click on the business record itself, it's going to take you to their detailed profile, which will share all the information that we know about them. Most popular info is going to be the most simplistic, so their address, phone number, website, social media feeds will populate down here. At the top, this will show that this is a verified record. All that means is that somebody from our call center established contact with an executive at the company and got vocal confirmation that the record was accurate in quality. So this just means that this record's a little bit more accurate than you might see like an unverified record. If we scroll down, we're going to show all the job listings that are hiring at that on-site location. You can click on the More Jobs tab, which will take you to Indeed and then show you all the jobs that are hiring at that location on the Indeed portal. The industry profile is going to show you what industry they associate with. So this just tells you that Stanley Black & Decker is a hardware manufacturer. You do not have to be an expert on the SIC codes or the NAICS codes. SICs were government regulated until the late 80s and they transitioned over to NAICS codes. We took those SIC codes and we made it a little bit more granular with our own proprietary models. So we added an extra 2 digits to make it a little bit more specific. But you don't have to know anything about the codes to run a search. If you're looking for hardware manufacturers in the advanced search section, just type in hardware manufacturers and you can produce a list that way. Unfortunately for me, when I started Infogroup, they made me memorize all these codes. So I've got a bunch of useless information in my head as of now. So if we scroll down, we're going to see the business profile. Small blurb about the company. Usually we just take that straight from the company website. So what products they sell, how they were founded, and what they're currently doing. Google Maps is fully integrated with ReferenceUSA, so you'll see where that business is located on a map. Alternatively, in the advanced search section, you can open up Google Maps and draw out the parameters within your geography that you're looking for certain businesses. So you can get very granular in terms of geographic search options. Most people don't know this, but we actually provide our addresses to Google. So if you've ever used Google Maps to get you from point A to point B, you're actually using our addresses to get you there. We also power 90% of the in-car navigation systems as well, like TomTom, OnStar, or Garmin. If you opened up a separate tab and you went to Google, let's just type in Wilton Library. So the information you're used to seeing on the right-hand side of the page, we provide to Google. We do that for Yahoo, AOL, MSN, and Bing as well. So that's hours of operation, the address, the phone number, the web linkage, the website. We run an API stream to those search engines. So you're probably integrated with our information in your daily lives and just probably didn't even realize it. Why I share this with you. So if you are ever considering opening up your own business, one of the first things I recommend that you do is to update your information in ReferenceUSA. Subsequently, we're going to be sharing it with all those online search engines so that your business can be found. So that's very important. It's not like search engine optimization. You're not going to suddenly appear first in the search results, but your business listing will appear there so that people who want to find you can find you, whether that be customers or suppliers or whoever. Okay, so moving on, the business demographics is going to share some of the details behind the business. So how many people they employ, are they public or private, how many sales they're making. Like I said, Stanley Black & Decker is a large publicly traded company, so like their sales information is easy for us to collect. They have to disclose that through their 10K filings and annual reports. For private companies, we do have to model that information and make a general best guess estimate as to how much sales they're likely to make. We do get our averages from the economic census or the U.S. Department of Commerce. We'll estimate it based on their industry, their geographic location, how many people they employ, and what we'll output is a price per employee, which will estimate what they're likely to make. So if you ever really need good reading material right before bed, you can always click on any of these links that are underlined, and then you can read about our sourcing. So if you want to know about our algorithm, about how the smart people at Infogroup come up with, you can read about that there. And then very important is, when was this individual record last updated? One of the most frequent questions I answer is, what is the accuracy of the information? It really depends on the data element, but you can look at the last updated. So this record was updated in March of 2020. Our bare minimum quality standards for updating a business record is once per year. So the smallest mom and pop shop will get updated at least once per year. We've got a huge revolving spreadsheet. So the oldest record would be pushed on top, ping our researchers to get that individual record updated. Moving on is the management directory. So these are all the top level executives at the company. We'll have their name, executive title, gender, and ethnicity of the individual. As a job seeker, and I always preface this as a bold suggestion, so do keep that in mind. If you're charismatic, if you're great on the phone with people, if you're really sort of a people person, great at building relationships, I encourage you to use the directory, find the HR executive, call the business itself, and ask for that person to speak with them. If you're starting to feel like submitting your resume and cover letter straight into a black hole, never to be heard from again, find some different strategies to be proactive in your job search, whether that's just picking up the phone, asking for that HR executive, and then just saying, hey, I submitted my resume and cover letter for this job. I've got industry experience dating back 10 years, specifically in this. When can I expect a call back or an interview request? Don't interview over the phone or anything, but maybe that'll get your resume pushed to the top of the pile. And again, bold suggestions, take that with a grain of salt, and if it works out for you, let me know because I would love to hear about it. So let me see. So we'll see that Joseph Volker is the HR executive at Stanley Black & Decker. So in one way or another, more than likely they're in charge of hiring decisions. So probably have some sway in that job application process. All right, so these are top level executives. If you are a sales executive, these are going to be key decision makers within the company. So you could use this as basically sales leads. All right, so this is a large listing. There's a lot of people there. Next section is company news. So we have a partnership with Bing. Bing's got a host of what they deem trusted news sources. If Stanley Black & Decker is mentioned in any of those reputable news sources, it'll automatically publish here. I highly encourage you to read up on what the company is currently doing before you go in for that interview. Use those as talking points. So it just sort of shows that you know exactly what's going on with the company as of current. And that's a good way to get a conversation rolling in your favor. So most recent articles will be published on top. There's a third-party link for you to read more about what's going on at the company currently. Older ones will populate below. Stock data, we do have it if you need it. So there's New York Stock Exchange info, simple Google Finance link that you can follow. You can see how that company is doing in the stock market. The expenditures is going to show you where that company is most likely to spend most of their money. So this is, again, an estimated model, as are most financials, but it's going to show you where they're spending most of their expenses. And this is actually how I started using ReferenceUSA for my job seeking process. A little more than 5 years ago, I was looking for a new job, and I had experience in business development, in outside sales and account management. I had an interview with an office equipment and supply wholesaler. So what I ended up doing was I found all the local businesses in the Omaha metro area that had high expenditures in office equipment and supplies, that was privately held, that had less than 10 employees. And I printed off those records, brought them into my interview. I said, if you hire me, I'm going to target all the businesses that are spending a lot of money in what you sell. Maybe you can help them reduce their costs and become a supplier for them. So, the light bulb sort of went off in the interview room, but I didn't end up getting any of those jobs that I'm using as an example. So I don't know if I'm a great exemplar of how to find a job with the database. They're all probably using ReferenceUSA without me at this point. I actually ended up applying for a job through Infogroup, and I had no idea that they owned ReferenceUSA. So they'd asked me, what I knew about the database. I said, oh yeah, charts and graphs are cool, and the expenditures are neat. I've been using them in my job interview. So I ended up doing this job purely by accident. I really just kind of got lucky. It landed in my lap. So I nerded out a little bit too much in the database, found a job. So sometimes you just really got to get lucky, and that's just the way the world works. Moving on, the UCC filings, these are uniform commercial codes. So the source filing ID is going to show you where a company's assets are. If you've got, experience as an attorney, an asset manager, or a banker, source filing IDs might come in handy for you. Nearby businesses are their neighbors, so businesses right next door. There's a small competitors report, which will show you who that company is currently competing with. Keep in mind, this is within a close geographic region. To get a more in-depth competitive analysis, you would run an advanced search the industry of the business that you're currently, hiring for, and then look in the geographic region that is their sales territory, and you get a full listing of everyone that company competes with. So keep in mind who their direct competitors are, and then name drop those in the interviews. What are you currently doing? What competitive advantage do you have over Greenwald Industries? What do they do better than you currently, and how do you combat against that? Just very basic questions that kind of show like, okay, I know who you're competing with, and I just want to know like where your advantages are. Historically speaking, we're going to show how the company trajectory has changed in terms of sales and employee size dating back to 1997. Investors will use this. They'll get a better understanding of where an individual company is currently heading based on 10-year projections. Economic development centers will use this, and then researchers and students will use this just for general info. The historical report will also show if there's been any company name changes, CEO changes, address changes, which you could see here. Okay, and that's it. So this is all the information that we know about an individual business. I want to share this with you because these is the kind of information that you should be researching before you go in for that interview. I'll move on to the advanced search section at this point. And then again, so everyone is currently muted, but if you do have any questions on the information that we just looked at, let me know now, and I'm happy to answer those questions at this point. Okay, and then one more thing before I move on. So you see this data feedback button at the top. If you do own your own business and you want to get your information updated in ReferenceUSA, so you find your business record and some of the information's outdated or maybe missing, click data feedback, put in the information you know to be true. That'll go to our researchers and we'll update it for you. It's not like old school Wikipedia. It's not going to automatically publish to the website, but we'll verify the claims, and once we verify it, we'll add it to the database. Somebody asked, are there some jobs listed in ReferenceUSA but not in Indeed? The answer is no. So we run an API with Indeed, so all postings that are on Indeed will be in ReferenceUSA, but there's no additional jobs available within the ReferenceUSA module. Really, the benefit of going through ReferenceUSA is the extra research information available and producing a list of businesses relevant to your industry experience. Okay. So I'm going to do a new search. And again, if you still have questions, like let me know now, and I'm happy to answer them. So I'm going to go into advanced search and show you how you're going to build a list relevant to your own unique interests. So what I ended up doing, and in my job search, was I went into this section and I found all of the businesses that were spending a lot of money in the industry in which I was hiring at. And then I leveraged that information in my job interview to showcase my ability to search for sales leads. All right, so everything you see on the left-hand side are all data elements you can apply to your target market. So essentially, the more things you check off, the smaller and more defined that market's going to become. So let's say we wanted to find businesses that were manufacturers. We had industry experience in manufacturing, and we wanted to find another job in the manufacturing industry. Two most important things you're going to want to search for is the industry and then the geographic location. Beyond that, it's all extra stuff. So under business types, there's two ways that you can search for the industry. You can run a keyword search or by major industry group. Now, manufacturing is one of our major industry groups, so I'll search for it there. But keep in mind, keyword search, like if you wanted to find beauty salons in your local area, all you would need to do is type in beauty salons and click enter. So when you click on beauty salons, now you're searching for beauty salons in the geographic area of your choosing. All right, so I'm going to take that out, and then I'm going to look for manufacturers. So under major industry groups, I'm going to click on manufacturing. Now, I like to search for the primary industry only because that's their primary focus is the manufacturing. So I'm going to click search primary SIC only. Under geography, I'm going to search for the industry or for the area that interests me. So let's say county, and let's look within the Fairfield County area. I always like to click update count just to get a better understanding. So it looks like there's 1,460 manufacturers in the Fairfield County area. What you can do is produce that list, give everyone a call, or produce a list of their websites and apply for their career on their career portal. If you want to ensure that they have a website, you can scroll down further under special selects, check mark web address, and then only look for companies with a website. So that reduces it to 866. Maybe your thought process is you want to work for a larger company, somebody with more job security. Maybe you were laid off from a smaller company because the revenue share was insecure. So you want to find companies of a larger size, say employing more than 500 people. So now you've got a small, clean list of 24 companies with a website available to you in the manufacturing industry within Fairfield County. So you've got a listing, so names of the companies, CEOs or owner, where they're located, their contact info. From here, what you would want to do is check mark to the left of company name, and then you can actually extract this information into Excel. So we will download this information. I'm going to choose Excel. Level of detail you want to see, I'm going to click detailed and then export the information. All right, and then just a moment while that is loading. Okay. So all that information that we saw in the Stanley Black & Decker record is condensed into a spreadsheet for all of these manufacturers. So all the information you could ever need to know about them is now in a spreadsheet and in a list. What I would recommend doing at this point is hopping on each of these websites, finding their career portal and applying for the jobs that you qualify for directly on their web page. Now, something to keep in mind, like not all job postings will be available in the Indeed portal. Sometimes these larger companies don't even post on Indeed. So my advice to you is to find those company websites and apply directly on their website, and then use as many other job publishing websites like LinkedIn or Monster, the Career Builder, Area Help Wanted websites that you can. So this is actually how my wife ended up looking for work. I assisted her because she had just graduated from law school, and unfortunately in the Omaha area, attorneys were oversaturated, so really there was nothing for her to do, even though she graduated, near the top of her class. No one was really hiring, so we ended up doing a search in the Omaha metro area for all companies employing over 100 people, and we produced a list of websites, and we did this exact same thing. Okay. So I'm going to go back. Okay, and I do see a question. Are the job postings linked back to the business page? So yes, if you looked for manufacturing positions in the Fairfield area, in the US Jobs and Internships module, it'll show you the posting, so the job posting itself, and it'll show you the business name. And if it's blue and highlighted, it links you to the business database so that you can research that company. Same thing as the Stanley Black & Decker record. All the information we looked at there will be listed for that job that's currently hiring for. All right. Oh, hang on. All right, so I'm going to revise this search and just broaden our record count a little bit so I can show you one more component. So these were just all manufacturers with a website available in Fairfield County. If you go at the top of the page, you're going to see two visual components, so a heat map or a chart. If we click on heat map, it's going to show you a saturation report where those manufacturers are most densely located. Excuse me, I usually don't, I'm starting to lose my voice. So use this for your own research purposes if it's relevant to you. I'd once helped like a pet store owner in Stanford open up their second location. So they wanted to know, you know, what we ended up doing is we did a heat map of all the pet stores in Connecticut. We went to our consumer module and we did a heat map of all the pet owners in Connecticut. And we looked at both maps. We were able to see where there was a high saturation of pet owners, but no pet stores anywhere in sight. So we pinpointed those areas that they could open up their next store. So if any market research like that assists you in your job search, keep in mind that we can do that. I do a lot of interviews for Infogroup for our account manager positions. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with just bringing in your resume and showing up to the interview and discussing your experience and relevant background. But for those people that just bring like one extra thing to show that they did some more research, those people really have a leg up and it really kind of impresses them. So if there's any other information you see that's relevant in here that you can print out and use in your interview, I highly encourage you to do so. All right, so that is about it. I'm going to open up a new search. And if you would like me to run a search on your behalf, please let me know, and I'm happy to use your example as an example for the group. Otherwise, I'm going to share my contact info in the chat box now. And if you would like to follow up with me personally, I'm more than happy to assist you with your job seeking process. So don't ever hesitate to reach out. All right, so there's my name and my email address. Again, if you guys have questions now, please let me know. And then if you want to use an example or want me to use your example, you know, feel free to type that out in the chat box. Otherwise, again, you can follow up with me personally in an email, and I'm happy to assist you directly if need be.
TJ, I don't see your email address on the screen.
Let me type it in there again.
Hey, folks, I just want to mention, since we do have a relatively small group of about 10 people, you can go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to ask a question or make a comment. We don't have to keep using the chat if you feel like speaking instead of typing.
TJ, you mentioned that Indeed is a job board aggregator. Is there any reason to refer to Monster or Career Builder if all those job listings are already included in Indeed?
The way that I think about it is that Indeed as an aggregator is an imperfect science. It's kind of like ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter does the same thing, but it certainly misses a lot of postings. So there's a lot of jobs that you'll find on Indeed or that you'll find on Career Builder that you don't see on Indeed, though they be an aggregator. So I still encourage you to visit as many as you can, but the aggregators are always a good start.
Right, and I assume they have the largest number of total listings versus non-aggregators, of course, right?
In theory, yeah, it should be.
Right.
I just shot your question, TJ.
I see, so someone had asked if I could use a recruiter as an example. They're currently looking for new corporate recruiter positions. So I always use the jobs module as a good starting point. And again, I don't like using quick search because if you type in recruiter, it's going to look for jobs with either the title recruiter or within the description recruiter. So if they work loosely with a recruiter, it might show up as there, even if the job itself isn't a recruiter. So, and hopefully that makes sense, but I always do advanced search with the exact phrase. Start with corporate recruiter and then move down to just recruiter generally. And then look within, you know, whatever mile radius you're comfortable commuting. Choose the age of the publishing. Maybe start low and then broaden it if you don't have enough results and view results. All right, so we're seeing 0. So what I might do at this point is just do recruiter general rather than corporate recruiter. 15 miles of Wilton, and let's expand that to 15 days. View results. Okay, so here's a batch of 19, which would be a good starting point. So keep an eye on the job title. It's, I don't know, some of these are true recruiting positions. I see recruiter in some of them, but not all of them. So that's a good starting point for you. I would start there and then research the companies on the right. Someone says, do you find there are remote or work from home positions included in these types of searches? I always, so if I'm going to search for those types of positions, I would include the word remote or like telework. It's like we had some nursing people that we assisted that we use the word telemedicine for. So if you were looking for remote, it's not a filter that you can search for, but within the job title itself, you can look for remote work. So look for the remote work from home. Okay, so a few of them popped up, and using those keywords, those should be appearing in the job description. So if you actually clicked on them and read through the profile, it should say work from home somewhere in the job listing. A couple of them have it in the title itself. Okay, so I've heard 70% of the jobs are found on LinkedIn. Please share your thoughts. Does ReferenceUSA have any connections with LinkedIn? We really don't. We have LinkedIn like linkage from the US business database, but we don't post any LinkedIn jobs on our jobs module. It's mostly through Indeed. But again, I encourage you to use LinkedIn and then just use ReferenceUSA for your research purposes before you go in for that interview. Or if you're using it, just produce a list of websites that you can apply for on their website there. But no LinkedIn postings on ReferenceUSA. What's the best way to search for accounting positions in corporate setting rather than in CPA firms? So I might actually go about this in a different way. Number one, I would start in the jobs module and then look for corporate accounting. So use those keywords. Past that, so you could go in the business module itself, run an advanced search. And then let's do a search within Fairfield County. And I'm going to scroll down under the ownership details and click on headquarter/branch and look for all headquarter locations. So these are all corporate offices. So there's 296 corporate offices of larger entities. You could also include single location businesses if you're okay, if you consider that corporate. But these should be for larger, more franchise types of businesses. Ones that we have a website with, and then produce a list there, and then go through their websites. You know, most all of them are hiring for those types of positions. So you should be able to look for it in that regard. So these are all corporate locations around your area. And then the more obvious way, obviously, was go into US Jobs and type in corporate accounting. Good questions. Hopefully that helps. And again, so if you did want to ask a question, you could always unmute yourself too, but I'm reading through the chat box as we go through.
DJ, how do the listings in ReferenceUSA compared to the breadth of listings in LinkedIn? Are they, I mean, basically we're talking about LinkedIn versus Indeed. Do they have comparable quantities of job listings typically, or does one typically dominate the other in terms of opportunities listed?
I would have to guess on that. So, I mean, take what I'm going to say with a grain of salt. I would probably guess that the breadth of listings are through LinkedIn and not Indeed. Our partnership lies within Indeed. So you're sort of at the mercy of what postings are on the Indeed portal within ReferenceUSA. So ReferenceUSA you can use as sort of like a launching point to get your job search started. And then, you know, broaden your results by going through LinkedIn or any other job postings that you see are available. So, but I think most of them probably go through LinkedIn, if I had to guess.
Sure. Thank you.
Someone asked if we had a listing of executive recruiters in specific areas. Kind of. So the answer is kind of. I'll give you a political answer. Sorry about that. Not recruiters themselves, but recruiting companies. So if you went into the US Business module and you did an industry search on job recruiters or job placement, you should be able to produce a list of companies that exclusively deal with placing people into jobs. Right, so employment recruiters, job agencies, maybe job counseling or job listing services, job resume service, job counseling, anything that you see that's, I guess, relevant, job fairs. Again, choose your geography. I just use Fairfield County because I know it's local. And then you could use a list of these recruiters, get on their website and, you know, post your resume, that kind of thing. If directory updates occur annually, is it possible that the recruiter contact info is updated more often? So as far as data accuracy is concerned, it really depends on the data element that we're talking about. Our most high quality data accuracy is going to be through the phone number, the address, the company name, the industry that they associate with. One of the things that we do struggle with is the executive names and titles. It should be like a 70-something% accuracy rating. People are constantly changing jobs, retiring, moving, that kind of thing. So trying to update the 50 million business records that we have with executive directories is probably one of our biggest challenges at this point. So we don't have any initiatives to update certain industries more often than other. We're really sort of at the mercy of what information is available, publicly speaking, through those government records or through web scraping that we do online. So it's not an exact science. It's really hit or miss. But with any executive directory, something in the 70-something% ratio of accuracy is what to expect.
TJ, are updates made as they are noticed, or are they done on a weekly or monthly basis? How is that done?
Small mom and pop shops, we have a once a year standard that we abide by. Larger public companies are constantly sharing information through, you know, PR and campaigns and that kind of thing. We get those like monthly.
Okay.
It just depends on what info is available.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, is this
Great questions.
Oh, okay.
Right? I don't know who.
I think it's from the League of Women Voters program. I mean, that was over
Thank you very
100
much,
people.
TJ. I have to
It was
go.
a big, it was a
Appreciate your
film and a
presentation.
panel, and they had displays, and we had the big
Absolutely,
things
thank
from
you. And if,
Sarah Joffrey.
So it would go on the program.
That's right.
If you guys want to follow up with me directly at any point, just let me know. My email is in there, so feel free to reach out at any time. But thanks for attending.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you. For those on their way out, you guys have a great day.
Well, thanks.
Hey, TJ, I just had to step away for 1 second. Someone was at my door with an envelope. So are we all set here? Had a lot of good questions. It was a great program, very informative.
Yeah, looks like everyone's on their way out at this point. But
Okay.
yeah, thank you for having me. I love doing this kind of stuff.
Great, that's fine. Now, I sent you a note at the very beginning that we hit the record button on Zoom for this. Is it okay for us to post this on our YouTube channel? We'll probably, trim off the dead air at the beginning and just have it when you start.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we've been doing that, and fantastic. Well, like I said, if you come up with another topic that's distinct from the two you've already done, how about how to use this? Just let me know, and we'll get you back here.
That sounds great. I'll be in touch.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, TJ.
Thanks, Michael.
Yep.
Have a
Kate.
great week.
Yeah,
Take
you
care.
too. You too.
Thank you.
Hi, Kate. I see your question. Wanted to get a library card. So you don't live in Connecticut?
No, I live in North Salem, New York, but I love the libraries and I use your resources like these websites. And I feel like I want to support it in the libraries in some ways that I do use.
Sure.
So I know in Ridgefield, they allow you to get a library card that's specific for Ridgefield. Like I could take out books in Ridgefield and stuff, but I can.
Well, let me tell you how it works, and this is probably also what you mean about Ridgefield, is that you can, actually New York State, I have to find out about that because I know how it works if you live in Connecticut. There's got to be a way. You have a library card from your own town?
Yes, I do. It's Westchester Library System. It's
Okay.
North Salem Ruth Keeler Library.
You know what? I'm gonna need to check. I think because we've got plenty of patrons who live in Westchester that use a lot of resources here. Let me check on that, and I'll send you an email with the answer. One thing that I know will not work is that, and and I hope you can contact your own library about ReferenceUSA, is that you have to get to ReferenceUSA through the Wilton Library. You definitely have to have a Wilton library card, and you can only get that if you live in Wilton. So what if you think that ReferenceUSA would be useful to you, you definitely need to get in touch with your own library in the town you live in and see if they have it. And if they don't have it, ask them if they can get it.
Yes, I'll look into that too. I just figured, I have been doing some of your Zoom meetings and stuff like that. And,
Great.
and with Richfield, I had said, I'd like to make a donation to the library because I am using your resources.
Sure.
And I said, well, would you like a library card? We can, I know Ruth Keeler Memorial has Friends of the Library. You can donate to them, and they set up programs.
Sure.
Richfield said, well, do you want a library card? And you could only use it for Richfield, but and I said, sure, why not? And I think it was like $75 for the year.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Well, look, you have my email from me sending the invitation out this morning.
Absolutely.
So just reply to that, and just a one-sentence email. Just say, can I get a library card? I live in North Salem. And I'll ask it's really, I think, the circulation manager here, who I think is in today, who knows what all the details of the policies are about giving out library cards.
Sounds great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. I'll get right back to you.
All right. Thanks again.
Kate,
Bye
one
now.
more thing. So I'm well familiar with the Westchester library system, and I know your library doesn't subscribe to ReferenceUSA, but they do have a similar resource called Emergent Intellect.
I'm sorry. Say that again. Emergent or emergent?
Emergent, Mergent, Emergent Intellect. I know the Westchester library system subscribes to that. It would probably be the closest thing to ReferenceUSA that you currently have access to. And then I'll let you, work with Michael and the other local Connecticut libraries if you want an out-of-city resident library card, if you qualify.
Okay. Do you do Richfield?
I do.
Oh, so it is. I could possibly go through my Richfield library card.
You've
got a card through Ridgefield. Yeah, Ridgefield is a subscriber.
Oh, good. That's
You know
good
what you
to
should
know.
do, Kate? Because a lot of the e-resources are pretty strict about residents being able to get access to them. So if what you actually have is a Ridgefield library card, I bet it'll work. But give it a try. If it doesn't work, it may be that even though you have the card, there's something about you not being a resident of the town that would be preventing you. But I would say go right to their website and just try to log into ReferenceUSA when we get off this call.
Thank you. I will do that. Thank you.
And then I'll find out about the Wilton card situation and get right back to you.
Sounds great. Thank you again.
Okay.
Bye now.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Great.
Thanks, Kate.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks, TJ, and stay in touch and stay healthy.
You too.
Okay.
Mike.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.